Greetings and welcome to PinballHelp. Mike here. This is part 2 of a little quick video I did on working on switch matrix problems on this Gottlieb Raven pinball machine. And if you watched the previous video, the machine was behaving oddly. It wouldn't kick a ball out and it just wouldn't play. And I went into switch test and I realized that there was a bunch of switches that were out. So I'm going to go over what I did to get this working. The first video kind of implied that I found the problem, but I actually didn't. So there was just a few other little things I had to do. So I'm just going to go into this. So what I did was I looked underneath it and I found a broken wire, and I surmised that was why the switches weren't registering. So I repaired that, and the problem still persisted. So then what I basically did was I had to go through and trace the entire switch matrix, because I did have a whole bunch of switches that were out, and as I suspected, they were all part of a particular row. In this case, this row right here that I have marked. And let's zoom in and take a quick look. And I'm just going to go over how to read the schematics, and if you run into a problem where there's something that is not registering, how to track down how it happens. So the out hole switch was not registering. So obviously, it couldn't tell there was a ball there. It never kicked anything out. So I predicted that was what the main problem was. When it couldn't find a ball, it just wouldn't even play. And that's because all of this entire row was out. And so what I needed to do was check the continuity to find out if it was a broken wire on the play field, which is this middle part, or in the wiring harness, which is the other two ends of this thing. So if you look here, you'll see there's a little number at the far end of this column. It says 577. So we can look up here, and this is the color code. And 5 corresponds to, or no, it's 877. No, 677, sorry. This is blue and green. And so we know that's the blue and green wire. So we follow that down, and it's pin 17 on the connector onto the motherboard. And the return for this is pin 7. And you count that from one side. If the plug is plugged into the motherboard like this is pin 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up. So you could put your meter on continuity, and you can check from this switch to that pin 17, and if you get continuity, you know that the wiring harness is okay. Now, to check the other end of this, what you have to do is you have to find out where this diode is. Unlike Bally Williams games, the diodes on these Gottlieb System80s are not at the actual switches. They're on a board underneath the machine. So it says right here pin 15 right next to the diode, so we know that that's number 15, connector 15. So we can check our continuity there, put it on this leg of the switch, check to make sure on this board. There's a little board underneath the play field. When you get continuity there, you go to the other side of the diode and put your meter on that, and then you check from there to the connectors in the back box, which is pin 7. Once you do that, if you don't have continuity, you know you got to break along here, or you got to break along there. So I did this, and I got continuity. So I was like, okay, what's going on? And so what I ended up having to do was reseat this connector, A1J6. I took out some sandpaper and I cleaned the contacts on it. I also reseated the memory chip in the MPU board, and everything came back to life. So ultimately, the problem was probably this connector. So I'm not 100% sure, but I went through the whole process. Now it is all working. And so that's basically it. A little bit of a tedious process, but we're back online. We got it working again. So that's how you read the schematics. Just want to say thanks for watching. For more, visit pinballhelp.com.